Think about this question. What is the
Trump.
opposite of unpredictable? Give me another word. So
level-headed?
No, it's not. No, type in unpredictable synonym, level-headed.
What, unpredictable? What?
What is, so it's a very simple word. Just take the UN out. The opposite of unpredictable is predictable.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, and I'm not even American. I wasn't born here. The opposite of predictable is unpredictable. It's predictable. And when it comes down to war, the last thing you want to be is what? Predictable. Here's what's crazy. Isn't it crazy that the guy that the world thought was going to start World War III, the world was at peace, and the guy that thought that was going to bring world peace has created the world into mayhem? Everybody thought Biden was going to bring a lot of peace. It's been a shit show when it comes down to safety. And everybody thought Trump was going to bring war. The only place it was a shit show was on Twitter, okay, when he was here. To me, okay, so let's, if you have a follow-up, I can go with other questions if you don't have a follow-up for him. Did you have a follow-up question on that topic?
On Trump or on what?
So then let me continue. So I would go to this with you. So, you know, historically, which political party typically likes war? It's fine. Well, which political party?
Are you saying the Republicans, the war hawks, would typically
I'm asking
like war?
you. What would you say historically?
Hopefully neither party likes war.
No, that's not true, though. That's not true. Historically,
the Republicans.
Okay, so people will typically say, you know, when it comes down to it, the Republican Party is like fiending war. Like even if you watch the movie Vice, the way they built Dick Cheney and you know what he did to get all those contracts. Okay,
Right.
Cool. Iraq, all of that.
Yeah.
Now, if you go back to Bush, can somebody say, well, that was true? That was the case, right? There was a lot of war. Okay, well, if you go to Obama, do we have wars during Obama? How was under Obama with ISIS?
ISIS a war,
Every
I guess.
day we feared ISIS, right? I mean, ISIS was like
a lot of that was the media, though, just like COVID.
But but that the media is on his side that's talking ISIS. That's his side. It's not 99% of the media loved and adored Obama. So if the media is talking about it, it's real because Obama was president, not because somebody on the opposite side was president. So you can't confuse the two. And then you bring to Trump, the 4 years is pretty quiet. Nothing really happens. Palestine and, you know, Kushner does what he does. And then you have now Biden. So this is the question I got for you is, you're Putin, the guy that you're saying, one of his advisors, the general, hey, why don't we do a super EMP on Ukraine and maybe even NATO? You were talking about that earlier, like 40 minutes ago. And, you know, but at the same time, again, you know, let's go into the mind of Putin today. Biden just gave Ukraine $40 billion. It's public, you know, so we're going to support Ukraine. And Biden's become a friend of Ukraine. A lot of people on the media support that decision. They say that was a good move to be made. NATO is defending anybody against Russia, almost everybody against Russia. How is Putin sitting there saying, these guys don't fear me? Because if you look at that picture between these two guys, you got Trump and Putin, okay? What do both of them have in common? Both of them, if there's an area they're competing in, is which man is more unpredictable to impose fear, okay? Would you agree with that? Both of them are, in a way, unpredictable, right? Now, you want the guy that's unpredictable to be on your side. The guy that's unpredictable, that's not on your side, you don't like that. But if the guy is unpredictable and he's on your side, you're good with that. Both of these guys are unpredictable. How is an unpredictable Putin process $40 billion being given to Ukraine and public humiliation, and he's sitting there saying, well, you know, maybe we'll take a little bit more. Maybe they're going to finally figure out that I'm a good guy. And what do you think he's thinking right now? How much more can he sit there and keep taking all the support that Ukraine is getting rather than leaving that alone?
Okay. Before I answer that question, I'd just like to clarify what I said about President Trump before, because I'm a Trump admirer. I don't want that being misconstrued. You know, we had started off, you know, because I don't want it misunderstood that I was criticizing President Trump when I said, well, he said that our military was the strongest in the world when that was not so, okay? It is the case that if you look at our forces and what was done, you know, there's no way that in the 4 years of the Trump administration we could have modernized our nuclear forces so quickly. You know, it wasn't true that we had the strongest military in the world. Our nuclear forces certainly were still far behind, and our military forces were not prepared yet to fight a peer competitor at a conventional level. But I support President Trump saying those things because he's the president. What is he supposed to say? Oh, our nuclear forces are far inferior to those of Russia, but I'm spending money and I hope that in 30 years we can catch up with them. That wouldn't be a prudent thing for a president to say. The president has always got to say, we're the strongest, we're the best, we can beat anybody. So, from a military, technical, analytical point of view, those things weren't literally true. But in terms of what presidents are supposed to do, yes, I'm glad President Trump is saying that. He's not just communicating to the American people. All the bad guys in the world are listening to him. And if they had the sense that, this guy is admitting publicly that America is weak, you don't want to do that. Biden, in effect, is doing this now when he decides that we're going to cancel over the protests of over the Pentagon. That he's defunded the Slickum-N, the sea-launched cruise missile nuclear. It was our only hope to catch up with Russia in terms of our tactical nuclear weapons. And he's also canceled the B-83 nuclear bomb, which is the only weapon that it's our last megaton-class weapon that had some kind of a chance of driving a shockwave that could destroy command bunkers in Russia. And he canceled that in the middle of this profound nuclear crisis over Ukraine. What kind of signal is that sending them? It tells them that he's afraid of nuclear weapons or indifferent to the nuclear balance to such an extent that even in this he's defunding and canceling some of our best weapons. So, having said that, how does Putin processing $40 billion sent to Ukraine? Well, we know how he's processing it. He's basically telling his people that the war in Ukraine, is not just a war against Ukraine, but that Ukraine is a proxy war being waged by the United States and NATO against Russia. And he's basically saying, you see, I was right to invade Ukraine. Even though things aren't going well, I was right because Ukraine, in effect, is a de facto member of NATO. And these guys are planning to use the Ukraine to try to destroy Russia. They're doing it now. All this nonsense that we didn't have to worry about NATO and Ukraine is proven false because they're basically treating Ukraine as a de facto NATO member. Now, they're still afraid of us because of our nuclear capabilities that they're not willing to directly engage Russian troops, there. But this just proves that I was right and that we have to prevail in Ukraine because this poses an existential threat. In effect, we're in World War III right now. World War III is being waged against Russia via Ukraine as a proxy war. And the Russian people are listening to this. Putin is far more popular among the Russian people now than Biden is among the American people. He has tremendous support for prosecuting that war and winning it. And I think as we discussed in the last program, what is Putin going to do? We don't. The fog of war is so thick over Ukraine. We don't really know. Just how bad is the situation for Russia and for Putin internally. Almost all the information we're getting is coming from the Ukrainians on the battlefield and from a Biden administration that wants to make the Russians look as bad as possible. Because Biden doesn't want the narrative to be about Biden throwing away 60 years of U.S. national security credibility on the international stage when he drew that line in the sand and told Putin, do not invade Ukraine, and then Russian tanks rolled right over it. He doesn't want the conversation, Biden administration doesn't want the conversation to be about that. They want it to be about how badly the Russians are doing, allegedly doing, maybe in reality doing so badly, in Ukraine, and therefore, the politics are not so bad for Biden from that perspective.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.